Imagine a world without toilet paper. For most of us today, reaching for a soft roll is so automatic that it barely registers in our daily routine. But for thousands of years, humans had to navigate one of the most basic and most intimate tasks without the convenience we now take for granted. Life before toilet paper wasn't just inconvenient. It was a reflection of culture, climate, and the materials people had on hand. The ways people cleaned themselves after using the toilet varied greatly depending on where they lived, the resources available, and the norms of their society. And while some of these methods might make us squirm today, they were practical solutions that worked, mostly. So let's get into it, right here on History of Simple Things. In ancient civilizations, toilet paper as we know it didn't exist. Instead, people used a wide variety of materials based on what was accessible. In many parts of the world, leaves were a natural solution. Large, soft leaves like those from mulberry or fig trees were common in places where they grew abundantly. Stones, shells, and corn cobs were also used in some cultures, particularly in arid regions where vegetation was scarce. Ancient Greeks and Romans, known for their advanced sanitation systems, relied on sponges attached to sticks. After use, these sponges were rinsed in water or vinegar to clean them, a practice that might seem extreme by modern standards, but was quite effective for the time. Water, in various forms, was a staple cleaning tool in many parts of Asia. People would pour water from a small vessel to cleanse themselves, a method that continues in some cultures to this day. Fast forward to medieval Europe, where toilet paper was still unheard of. Wealthier households often used pieces of cloth, sometimes referred to as staying rags, which could be washed and reused. The poor, however, had fewer options. They might use hay, straw, or even moss. And in some regions, people resorted to using the pages of old manuscripts or catalogs. Public latrines, which were common in medieval towns, sometimes had communal brushes or water systems. But much of the time, it was up to the individual to bring their own materials. Hygiene was rudimentary by today's standards, but people managed. Interestingly, some wealthier households even had attendants whose job was to handle these materials, essentially early sanitation workers dedicated to the most private of chores. In many Asian and Middle Eastern cultures, water has long been the primary method of cleansing. Historical texts from India, for example, describe the use of water after defecation, sometimes accompanied by the left hand, a practice still common in parts of South Asia today. In Japan, before the invention of modern flush toilets, people often use water and small wooden paddles to clean themselves. Similarly, in the Middle East, water and stones were common. These methods were surprisingly effective, though they required a shift in mindset for people used to dry materials. The introduction of bidets in Europe in the 17th century was, in a way, an attempt to emulate these water-based practices, though widespread adoption took centuries. The first commercially produced toilet paper is surprisingly recent in human history. In the mid-19th century, Joseph Gayety in the United States introduced the first packaged toilet paper in 1857. It was sold as medicated sheets, promoted as a way to prevent hemorrhoids, and it came in flat sheets rather than rolls. Despite this innovation, adoption was slow. It wasn't until the late 1800s and early 1900s, with the rise of indoor plumbing and the mass production of softer rolled paper, that toilet paper became a household staple. Until then, people continued using cloth, leaves, and other materials, sometimes passing these traditions down through generations. Life without toilet paper wasn't just about finding materials. It shaped social behaviors and cultural norms. Sharing sponges in Roman latrines or using communal water sources required etiquette and hygiene awareness that was quite sophisticated for the time. In medieval Europe, the use of rags or moss often reflected class divisions. The poor adapted to whatever was available, while the wealthy had access to reusable fabrics. Even today, the way we handle our private hygiene is deeply influenced by culture and geography. The evolution of toilet paper reflects broader societal changes. Urbanization, mass production, sanitation awareness, and the human desire for comfort and cleanliness. Thinking about life without toilet paper might seem amusing or gross, but it's also a fascinating reminder of human ingenuity. For thousands of years, people made do with what they had, balancing hygiene, resources, and practicality. It also highlights how dependent we've become on convenience in the modern era. The toilet paper shortage during the COVID-19 pandemic was a stark reminder that even in a world of abundance, this seemingly simple product is something most of us cannot imagine living without. From leaves and stones to sponges, water, and finally soft-rolled paper, humanity's approach to personal hygiene tells a story of adaptation, innovation, and cultural variation. So, the next time you reach for a roll of toilet paper, pause for a moment and appreciate how modern sanitation has transformed something as ordinary as wiping your bottom into a painless, almost invisible task. Life without toilet paper wasn't impossible, but it certainly required creativity, resourcefulness, and, in many cases, a thick skin, literally and figuratively. Our ancestors may not have had the luxury of soft, perforated sheets, but they survived, adapted, and paved the way for the small comforts we often take for granted today. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.